My name is Klaus Tenbergen. I'm the president and founder of Need to Know Consulting. I started my professional career as an apprentice baker in Germany. I lived and worked in Germany, Namibia and South Africa before immigrating to the United States. I owned a fine dining restaurant and was a proud owner of a bakery, confectionery and coffee shop in South Africa. I earned the title of Bäckermeister in Germany and Master Baker in South Africa. I became a certified master baker, certified executive pastry chef and master certified executive while working in the United States. I obtained a doctorate from California State University in Fresno and served as the Dean of Career Technical Education and Economic Development at Columbia College. I co-authored on baking a book on pastry fundamentals. Today we're representing the Raisin Administrative Committee and very excited to be part of this event.
My name is Priscila Santiago. I obtained a doctorate in agri-food biotechnology from Tecnológico de Monterrey in Querétaro, Mexico. My areas of expertise include garambullo, an underutilized cactus berry from central Mexico, novel drying techniques, shelf life extension, bioactive compounds, nutraceuticals, and functional foods, and my interests include food design and food waste. We both have been ambassadors and consultants for the California Raisin Marketing Board and the Raisin Administrative Committee, and have traveled extensively to Asia, Europe, North and South America to promote the innovative use of California raisins, and we're happy to be a resource for you. Thank you for the invitation and your trust in California Raisins.
So, in this episode, we're going to demonstrate to you a very unique cookie with a more even unique filling, which consists of California raisins, peaches, a little bit of cinnamon and chili flakes to give a little bit of a kick to the whole thing. And we're calling this the California Raisin Filled Thumbprint Peanut Cookies. To begin, we have a little table model KitchenAid mixer, and to ensure that we properly cream, we have softened butter, which we place in the bowl. We did microwave the butter a little bit to ensure proper creaming, and as always we want to make sure that all the ingredients go in. So I got my butter in here, followed by my powdered sugar. Powdered sugar goes in. There you go. And again, make sure that everything is in. I'm actually using the bowl as a holder now for my utensils. I'm using a pedal attachment, as this is most suitable for creaming. I secure the bowl inside the mixer, followed by the attachment. And as always, I want to make sure that I start on a low speed to prevent anything from flying up in the air. So I start on slow speed, and once the powdered sugar is combined with the softened butter, I increase the speed to medium. And while I'm doing this, I take the time to sift together my flour and my chemical leavener onto a piece of parchment paper. Make sure that I get it all out. And as you may recall, the sifting is an important part of producing the cookies. First of all, it removes any kind of impurities. Secondly, it combines the chemical leavener with the flour. And thirdly, it removes any kind of impurity which may be present in the flour. Using a piece of parchment paper, you will see in a second, becomes very handy. I set this aside for a second, increase my speed to medium to achieve a nice creaming, and While the mixer is running, I add my vanilla extract into the batter. Now, here is one of the unusual ingredients, which are roasted peanuts, which are finely chopped to get nice distribution throughout the mix. The tricks of the trades is to use the parchment paper to fold it up, close it in the back, and then I can easily add the flour into my mixture. I want to give it a couple more minutes to achieve proper creaming. The creaming ensures that everything is well combined, but not only this, it also aerates, incorporates air into my batter. As always, I like to clean as I go to have a beautiful working area. And once my butter and powdered sugar is fully creamed, and you can hear this in the splashing noise the pedal and the batter makes against the side of the bowl. I take my parchment paper, which again makes a beautiful, easy handling of the additional ingredients. And while I'm sifting the remaining of the flour, one of the things I learned when I apprenticed was always to be careful of waste. So even though I use the parchment paper, it's reusable now when I make my cookies later. Now I of course have all of these kind of ingredients in. There's two ways of doing this. Set a protective ring around the side of the bowl if it's available. If it's not available, I want to make sure that you pulse the machine, start, stop, to ensure that nothing comes flying out of the machine. As you can see, the little push shield will work wonder. Stop, go, stop, go. Really make sure that nothing gets spilled. And last but not least, I add my roasted peanuts to the batter, which were finely chopped. And of course, I don't want to overmix, and therefore, once the flour is starting to be incorporated, I can remove my pouring shield, stopping the machine, lowering the bowl, and making sure that everything is incorporated and pushed off the side for incorporation of everything. Just push it down as needed. I do gonna mix it a little bit by hand in a second. Lift it up again. Give it another couple of spins, and as soon everything is incorporated, I remove my pedal attachment by pushing some of the dough off the attachment. Can remove it easily, move my machine to the side. And what I like to do is, especially when I have a table available, a wooden table, I make sure that everything comes off the pedal attachment. I dump the batter out, and as you can see, it all came together nicely. And not only that, my bowl is nice and clean, everything has been removed, so we can utilize any and all of the cookie dough. I give it a couple of quick folds, and now there's two ways of doing this. If you have done it a few times, you will realize that making thumbprint cookies is actually an exercise in control. As you sell them not individually, but rather as a by pound or by kilo or by weight, it is very easy to cut
the dough a little bit like this. Okay. Take exactly 30 grams into your hand. Squeeze it together slightly. Roll it in the palm of your hand, and then with your thumb give a nice indentation before you place it on the sheet pan. Make sure that the thumbprint is deep and right in the middle, just like this. And you see how the gloves help you so nothing sticks to your hand. And as this batter is full of butter, so it helps lubricating as well. I want to space them about 2 to 3 centimeters apart to ensure even baking. And of course, we preheated our oven, right, Priscila?
That's correct. The oven is preheated to 190 degrees Celsius. Again, we don't expect these cookies to expand. They're pretty much going to stay the same size we put them in, but they have a very good consistency. We used baking soda for this formulation.
As a chemical leavener.
Correct.
And by using a chemical leavener, we do not have any proving time or relaxing time. And as soon the cookies are shaped, of course, they can go in the oven.
So, chef, of course, there's people out there who have allergy concerns in regards to peanuts. Is there any other alternatives we could use? Is this only supposed to be used with peanuts?
Traditionally, actually, these cookies are used with almonds or any kind of nut, pistachios, almonds, cashews, as well as in our case, peanut, because we have found that peanuts make a very nice addition to the sweetness of the California raisins. Using a NutriBullet to make our mix. This can also be done in a food processor and or any kind of equipment which is available, a mixer or mixer attachment to get the certain consistency here, making sure that all the raisins go in, of course. Some beautiful peaches, or if wanted or needed, any kind of other fruits which are available to you locally, which could include mangoes, pears, and others. Of course, California raisins and peanuts pair very well with cinnamon, little dash, and here's one of the surprising ingredients, some
chili flakes.
Chili flakes.
So the flavor of the chili flakes actually is not overpowering. It blends very well with the rest of the ingredients.
It really does. And it does in the sense that you don't taste the heat, but rather it lingers on your tongue when you enjoy these cookies. Very simple procedure. Insert the machine and the blades will now mix together my peaches, my chili powder, my cinnamon and raisins. And that is all it takes. Look at this beautiful consistency of the peaches and raisins. Now, very gently, we're placing this in our thumbprint. Beautiful. As this is not spreading, we want to make sure that you take your time to do so, as this really stays the way it is, and so whatever you see before it goes in the oven, of course, comes out at the end of the day.
So there's no thickening agents in this filling?
No, it doesn't need to be. It holds it really, really bake stable, which means it doesn't spread when used, and again, it gives some moisture, and this surprisingly little tiny bit of heat, which of course is unexpected but very, very pleasant. So now we have the crunchiness of the peanuts as well as the crispiness of the cookies combined with beautiful California raisins, cinnamon, peaches or other fruits, as well as cinnamon and chili flakes. Wow. So once I got this tray ready, Priscila is gonna place this in our preheated oven. And it bakes about 10 to 12 minutes depending on your oven. We are now presenting to you our ready baked cookies. At the end of the day, you have these beautiful cookies which have not only a little bit of crunchiness to it, but also an amazing taste when consumed. Enjoy. Really good.
In this segment, we will discuss how to store California raisins appropriately. Reasons for conditioning raisins will be explored, as well as how to condition small quantities of raisins, as well as in a case. We will exemplify the use of California raisins, like in bread making, and how many raisins need to be used to call a raisin bread raisin, or a bread with raisins. When the raisins should be added during the mixing process so they keep their integrity. Finally, we will evaluate how to use whole raisins, raisin paste, and raisin juice concentrate for different food industry applications.
First, we're going to talk about storage. Controlled cold storage is the best way to store California raisins. Raisins will retain their color, flavor, and nutrition value for up to 6 months if stored at 7 degrees Celsius or less. California raisins may be stored at room temperature, around 20 degrees Celsius, without noticeable loss of color or flavor. Raisins should be stored away from grain products such as wheat flour, cornmeal, and ingredients with strong, undesirable odors such as onions or garlic.
It is important to keep in mind the first in, first out rotation practice. Raisins freeze well for long periods of time and thaw quickly at room temperature.
If the relative humidity is high, refrigerated storage is recommended. Raisin conditioning is the process of rehydrating raisins into the desired moisture level. If raisins are not conditioned, they will draw moisture from the dough during the fermentation and baking processes, causing the bread to be dry. For small quantities like this, place raisins in a bowl and cover with warm water. Temperature should not exceed 24 to 27 degrees Celsius. Drain after 30 seconds and let the raisins rest for 30 minutes to 2 hours or overnight to absorb excess moisture on the skin.
A 13.6 kilogram case of raisins can be conditioned by adding 2 liters of warm water at 24 to 27 degrees, 15% by weight right into the case. Recross the polyliner over the container and turn it a number of times to distribute the water evenly. Turn again about every 2 hours and allow for standing an additional 2 hours for total conditioning time for at least 4 hours or overnight.
Any remaining liquid could be added to the dough as part of the liquid component in the formulation. Longer periods may over-condition and release solids from the raisins. Raisins can be conditioned with uses like apple, orange, or others, or alcohol like brandy or rum.
Raisin bread must contain 50% or more of total flour weight.
Bread with raisins is less than 50% of raisins based on total flour weight.
Add raisins at low speed during the last minute of the mixing process. Raisins can be ground or chopped to be added as filling or as binding agent for different applications.
Use raisins in yogurts, ice cream, and soft sender candies for visual appeal. Raisins are hygroscopic and can absorb other flavors. Try infusing raisins with other natural flavors such as watermelon, berries, lemon, pineapple, etc.
Hot cross buns, hot cross buns. In this episode, we're gonna demonstrate to you one of the traditional Easter feasts, but I don't know how traditional it is because it contains, of course, California raisins and a array of different spices. So to start off with, we have placed our flour into the mixing bowl, and this time around we're going to use a dough hook. We're securing before we secure the bowl, we're going to add the other ingredients, which are?
So we have our dry ingredients consist of milk powder.
And I like to place them not all on top of each other, but rather uniformly around the bowl, so I can always check if or if not, out of whatever reason, I have everything incorporated.
So we got sugar.
Sugar.
We also got salt.
Of course.
Of course. And then we have a little bit of dough conditioner.
Yeah.
We have our yeast.
Yeast. In this case, it's dried yeast. Should you use fresh yeast, you use 3 times the amount of the dried yeast.
Correct. And we have our dry spices, which consist of cinnamon, cloves, allspice, ground cardamom, and ground ginger.
And this really makes the hot cross buns.
You could think it's a lot of spices, but it really makes a very nice flavor profile in this unique bread.
And it's well balanced with the sweetness of the California raisins.
Right. So we have our shortening.
Shortening goes in.
We're going to leave our raisins for a later stage, but we do have a mix of raisins and orange candied peel, which we finely chopped. We also have our eggs, and then we have our extracts. In this case, we have vanilla extract. We have this very
amazing.
Yes, we have also lemon extract, and this one is bitter almond extract.
Okay, all goes in. This is called the straight dough method. Everything goes straight into the bowl. The water is at room temperature, and now we're using the straight dough method. But not only this, we're going to do 2 stages. The pickup stage, mixing the dough for 3 minutes on slow speed, and then increasing the speed to medium to have the developing stage for 7 more minutes, a total mixing time of 10 minutes. So now, as you can see, my raisins have been fully incorporated. I remove first my dough hook, and then I will, as I mentioned before, flour my surface just a tiny little bit with the dusting of flour. I like to use red flour for dusting, reason being it helps with the distribution, and as you can see here, if I scrape out my bowl very well, which saves me an additional step, I can use the bowl as is, see, for my cross in a second. So I put my ball aside. I give it a couple of folds. See here I have some spots where I have too many raisins and no raisins. So I fold it over. Now I cover my dough for about 30 minutes. 15 to 30 minutes depending on your temperature in the room with the cloth to give the yeast some time to relax. I use the resting time of the dough to make my hot cross bun cross topping. Flour again, all of it incorporated, followed by shortening. Shortening is added, and last but not least, room temperature milk. Again, all goes in together with the pedal attachment, and that's all it takes. I removed my pedal attachment. See the consistency? So now my 15 minutes are up. I take my dough, deflate it gently, and give it a fold. Top to bottom, bottom to top, left to right, and right to left, just to deflate the dough and provide new food to the yeast. And now, using a balance beam scale or a scale, I'm going to divide the dough into 100-gram pieces. And it's always good to have somebody helping you alongside to scale those pieces. You will learn very quickly how to aim or eyeball for exactly the right amount. And while doing this, Priscila can take over, as I'm going to take the dough balls and shape them by gently rolling them in the palm of my hand into rounds. Now, one of the important things is to ensure that these dough balls are placed properly onto the tray. And in this case, we're using a half sheet pen and we're placing the dough balls. A little bit of flour always helps a lot when it starts to stick. A little dusting. You don't want to go too heavy on the dusting flour. Roll it nicely in the palm of your hands. There you go. And place them, in this case again, half sheet pen, 4 on the short side and 6 pieces on the long side. Again, take your time to space them out properly, as this is of importance when it comes to applying the cross onto the hot cross buns. So now, at the end of the day, once you got your tray filled, it of course needs to proof until about double in size, and I will show you this in a second how this operates. I set this aside, I cover them with plastic and put this in a warm place / proof box. Once they are proofed, now there should be, and you can see the difference between before and after. This is how it's been placed. This is how they should look like before you applying the cross. Again, this takes about between 30 and 60 minutes depending on your environment. But last and not least, we now have to apply the previously made cross, which consists of flour, milk and shortening. I'm using a piping bag with a small little round tip. Hold the bowl for me, please. I add my filling into the bag. There you go. Push it down all the way as much as possible. Then fold the side of the piping bag over. Roughly put the piping bag on the table, scrape the filling towards the opening, close the piping bag on top, and now apply the works wonder, and those go now, after they've been fully proofed, go right away in the oven. Beautiful, look at this! Freshly baked hot cross buns. And last but not least, we created a little syrup which consists of?
We have fresh ginger and ground ginger. We have water, sugar, and just a little tiny touch of cream of tartar.
Okay.
This is applied immediately after they come out of the oven. Right?
Look at the beautiful sheen it creates. There's a little bit of stickiness. Make sure that you catch all the sides. And here we have beautiful hot cross buns, traditional variety for Easter with California raisins, spices and extracts, and they are just amazing.
In this segment, we will discuss how to store California raisins appropriately. Reasons for conditioning raisins will be explored, as well as how to condition small quantities of raisins, as well as in a case. We will exemplify the use of California raisins, like in bread making, and how many raisins need to be used to call a raisin bread raisin, or a bread with raisins. When the raisins should be added during the mixing process so they keep their integrity. Finally, we will evaluate how to use whole raisins, raisin paste, and raisin juice concentrate for different food industry applications.
First, we're going to talk about storage. Controlled cold storage is the best way to store California raisins. Raisins will retain their color, flavor, and nutrition value for up to 6 months if stored at 7 degrees Celsius or less. California raisins may be stored at room temperature, around 20 degrees Celsius, without noticeable loss of color or flavor. Raisins should be stored away from grain products such as wheat flour, cornmeal, and ingredients with strong, undesirable odors, such as onions or garlic.
It is important to keep in mind the first in, first out rotation practice. Raisins freeze well for long periods of time and thaw quickly at room temperature.
If the relative humidity is high, refrigerated storage is recommended. Raisin conditioning is the process of rehydrating raisins into the desired moisture level. If raisins are not conditioned, they will draw moisture from the dough during the fermentation and the baking processes, causing the bread to be dry. For small quantities like this, place raisins in a bowl and cover with warm water. Temperature should not exceed 24 to 27 degrees Celsius. Drain after 30 seconds and let the raisins rest for 30 minutes to 2 hours or overnight to absorb excess moisture on the skin.
A 13.6 kilogram case of raisins can be conditioned by adding 2 liters of warm water at 24 to 27 degrees, 15% by weight right into the case. Recross the polyliner over the container and turn it a number of times to distribute the water evenly. Turn again about every 2 hours and allow for standing an additional 2 hours for total conditioning time for at least 4 hours or overnight.
Any remaining liquid could be added to the dough as part of the liquid component in the formulation. Longer periods may overcondition and release solids from the raisins. Raisins can be conditioned with uses like apple, orange, or others, or alcohol like brandy or rum.
Raisin bread must contain 50% or more of total flour weight.
Bread with raisins is less than 50% of raisins based on total flour weight.
Add raisins at low speed during the last minute of the mixing process. Raisins can be ground or chopped to be added as filling or as binding agent for different applications.
Use raisins in yogurts, ice cream, and soft sender candies for visual appeal. Raisins are hygroscopic and can absorb other flavors. Try infusing raisins with other natural flavors such as watermelon, berries, lemon, pineapple, etc.
In this episode, we're going to demonstrate a traditional Russian Easter treat, which is unique again, not only because it contains the beautiful California raisins, but also it is made with flour, sourdough, eggs, yeast, vanilla, and milk as a starter. I placed my flour in the bowl. I have in here, I'm going to add to this 300 grams of sourdough, and I will talk about his beauty in a second. 300 grams. Perfect. And add to this eggs, vanilla, yeast, minimal amount because I also have the leavening from the sourdough starter, and my milk, which I have warmed to room temperature. Using the dough hook, I'm going to combine the ingredients on slow speed for 3 minutes. So once it comes together and mixed for about 3 to 4 minutes on medium speed, I will then take the dough and using a simple kitchen towel cover the bowl and let the dough rise for 45 minutes. Now let's talk a little bit about the sourdough starter. The sourdough starter is well developed over a 7-day period where on a daily basis, very acidic, very pungent, well developed, where I'm going to use a little leftover like this to feed it with equal parts of flour and water. In this case, I only use 100 grams of flour and 100 milliliters of room temperature water to feed the dough. I do this continuously for several days, a minimum of 7 when you start a new dough, until I have enough volume to use for another batch. If you need to make bigger batches and need more sourdough starter, you may increase or double or quadruple the amount you feed the starter with, and it not only functions as a natural leavener but also as a natural preservative and or a flavor enhancer in many cases. So once my dough is fully incorporated, I stop my machine, I remove the attachment simply by pulling down the dough of the side of the hook. Place the hook on the side, scrape down the sides to ensure that nothing will dry out, and let it rest and ferment for 45 minutes at room temperature. So now the dough has rested for 45 minutes. You can see it's doubled, not doubled, but it rose about 1/3 of its weight. I'm going to add to this my other ingredients, which include my softened butter, and you see how nice and soft the butter is. It's really important that the butter is soft, as it helps with the incorporation of it. There's many different ways of doing this. One way is to do it by hand. The old traditional way was of course by hand. In the modern times, like now, it is much easier to do it with the mixer, of course. I'm adding my salt, my sugar, and my lemon zest, and reattach the machine to... Okay, so now I restart my machine, and what I want to do is I want to make sure that all the ingredients, the salt, the sugar, the butter, as well as the lemon zest is fully incorporated before I add my California raisins, which of course are conditioned. And in this case, we have both golden raisins and natural raisins. So Priscila, what's the difference between gold raisins and natural raisins? And what do we do in case golden raisins are not available?
Right, well, I'm going to start with white. What do we do in case we don't have golden raisins? We just double the amount of California raisins. The difference between California raisins and the golden raisins is that golden raisins actually once upon a time were natural California raisins. The difference is they have been treated with sulfur to loosen their brown color. So they're bleached raisins. Once they're bleached, they look like this, they look like golden. And some countries have some restrictions or some concerns about the color, not because of the color of the raisin, but because they have been treated with sulfite. Then some people might be allergic to them. Maybe kids or elderly people have some concerns in that area. So we just go ahead and double the amount of our California raisins.
So once the butter, sugar, salt and zest is fully incorporated, I again lower the speed of my machine. I add not only my roasted and chopped pecans, but also my conditioned raisins. And again, it may seem that in the beginning there is very little ingredients, but by the end of the day, and by the time raisins and walnuts and peanuts and pecans have been incorporated, it will make at least 8 to 10 loaves of bread. So again, I don't want to overmix it. I just want to make sure that everything is fully incorporated, and I am preparing a container with a little bit of spray and or oil or butter, whatever is available. Set that aside. This will help me later on to release the dough out of the container. My machine, remove my attachment as I always do, set it aside, and then simply take whatever I have here, turn it to the side please for the camera, dump it into the prepared container. See how beautiful this is?
So it is a different dough compared to other breads where the dough seems to be thicker or
and fully
more,
developed.
Yeah, fully developed.
Right? And this one has a very high hydration, which is actually to the advantage of the baker, as higher hydration provides lower costs. Okay, once I scrape it all out, I then have Priscila covering the dough with saran wrap, and I really want to show you the difference between the one and the other. This is our dough once it gets in. And may I have the dough?
Yes. So how long is this going to rest?
Well, this rests for 12 hours or overnight. And what I do is to just show the difference, and you can see it here very nicely. This is a dough which has been rested for 12 hours. It not only increases in volume by about half, 50%, but it also creates some CO2 which is now trapped underneath my saran wrap. So I set this aside, put this in the fridge. Magic. I open the container. Remember, I sprayed this container with oil, a little bit of flour, not too much. Turn it upside down. I can help it by pulling it out, which I probably have to do. See how beautiful
Oh, it's coming out very easily.
this comes out very easily. Okay. Fold the dough over, deflate it gently, and now I will divide the dough into different pieces based on my forms. The forms, also very unique to this Easter bread, are tins which we saved from our production. This, remember, we had peaches in one of the other recipes. Priscila can scale now the different breads out for us. In this case, we're scaling how much?
We're scaling 400 grams. So normally what we're doing is, if we're using a container that used to have 800 grams of whatever product that was there, we like to weigh half of the amount, and we have
a good indicator. So in this case, it is an 800 milliliter tin, which we then fill with about 400 grams of dough. One, and we have 6 of those to go around. And not only that, we also like to make a bigger variety. This bigger variety contains about a gallon / 3.6 liters of volume. In this case, we're going to use 1.5 kilogram of dough to fill the larger tin. In preparation of placing the doughs in it, we're going to use a little bit of spray. Again, if no spray is available, oil or butter will do the trick. It just helps releasing the dough out of the forms.
So this is a traditional Easter bread, you said, from Russia?
Yes.
Wow.
And what I really enjoy on this is the differences of using California raisins in combination with sourdough, the high amount of butter, and of course the lemon, which gives a nice special flavor. I form it into small little balls. I want to make sure that these balls, when placed into the tins, fit right into it. And as you can see, it's about half filled with the dough.
Right.
So the reason why I'm shaping it a little bit to make it taller is so it fits nicely into the can. And even here, as you can see, it perfectly works that it's about 50% filled with the dough. These doughs now get covered, they get set aside. There we go. Look at this beautiful little breads, which just pop out of the can very simply, very easily. But before we get going, you look at this beauty of my 1.5 kilo kulik, my Russian specialty. So now, of course, we want to give it a little bit of decoration, and one of the simplest decoration is the combination of powdered sugar and milk. It may seem to be a lot of powdered sugar, but you also have to realize that the powdered sugar has a lot of volume. So I'm going to mix it either way with a whisk. I have a little cooling rack here, or drip tray. I put a little bit over the top.
It makes a nice contrast.
Doesn't have to be too much. Let it run down the side. And as it runs down the side, I want to give it a little bit of color by giving a festive, oops, a little bit more maybe. Look at this beautiful thing. A little drip and beauty icing on top. Again, very simply made. May I have the bigger tray?
Of course.
And as I set this aside, keep it dripping, I'm going to do the same with my smaller creations. There you go.
So the icing, you can adjust consistency as much as you want. You can add more milk or more powdered sugar depending what you really need.
If any, I would recommend a little bit more powdered sugar to get it stiffer. On the other hand, if you would like to have a different flavor profile, a little bit of lemon juice does the same trick than the milk, to give you a nice consistency. And again, let it drip. There you go. A little sprinkle to make it look festive and Easter-like. And what I did here, and I did this on purpose, I kept one piece aside. May I just have a little wipe on the table, and I wanted to show everybody how beautiful these breads turn out by slicing one right through the middle. And again, I wish everybody could see and smell how beautiful this bread smells, how beautiful the crumb is, how soft the bread is, how amazing it smells. Beautiful lemon smell with the sweetness of the California raisins, and a just amazing crumb as it comes out, looking amazing and very festive for the Easter season.
In this segment, we will discuss the benefit of consuming this nutrient-rich fruit, how California raisins help in maintaining a healthy gut, and how the sweet by nature fruit impact favorable on your overall health.
California raisins are naturally low in fat and sodium, and as a whole fruit, raisins contain unrefined sugars and dietary fiber, making them a healthy additive with numerous uses in product development and culinary applications. This whole fruit is safe and healthy support for overall health and wellness. Eat anywhere, anytime. Contains powerful antioxidants and concentrated nutrients. Helps reduce sweet cravings. Strengthens the body natural defense.
Help increase resistance to fatigue, stress and tension. Healthy from the inside out. Healthy gut impacts your mood, energy, sleep, skin, metabolism and digestion. The key is not matching the symptoms, but treating them the roots of the cause, the gut. Consuming California raisins help restore the critical parts of your overall health, improves the performance of your whole body from the inside out.
The fiber and tartaric acid found in California raisins have beneficial effects on intestinal functionality. The ability of all fruits to maintain regularity is related to the amount of fiber, specific sugars, and phytochemicals in that fruit. The dietary fiber and tartaric acid found in raisins have beneficial effects on intestinal functionality and aid in laxative action. California raisins increase fecal weight and cause the material to move through the colon faster. This is called faster transit time. Increased transit time and increased fecal weight are important not only to have a properly functioning gastrointestinal tract and to reduce constipation and hemorrhoids, but it also means that any toxic materials that might be in the diet or produced by metabolism in the gut will have little time to adversely affect the colon wall. Raisins reduce the alkalinity in the colon. Both the faster transit and lower pH are associated with reduced colon cancer. 2 servings of California raisins per day cause moderate but beneficial changes in colon function.
Eating California raisins may help to lower blood pressure. Raisins rank among the top antioxidant foods. According to tests conducted by the United States Department of Agriculture, antioxidants are important because they protect cells and their component from oxidation damage, a little like rust prevention for the blood. Eating California raisins may help to control your blood sugar. Research shows that consuming this all-natural, dried by the sun, no sugar-added fruit can positively affect glucose levels and systolic blood pressure among people with type 2 diabetes mellitus.
Research shows that California raisins are known to contain phytonutrients that suppress the growth of oral bacteria associated with cavities and gum disease. Raisins, as part of modern lifestyle, can contribute to essential bacteria as needed as part of an overall health improvement.
So in this episode, we're going to showcase the versatility of the raisins, but not only the versatility of the raisins, but the addition of peanuts in a raisin formulation. So a trick of the trade, we need peanut powder. So what we experienced in the past is when making peanut powder and just using peanuts, as they are very oily, it does not always work that well. So we're using some of the flour we're going to use to incorporate into our cookie dough to make peanut powder. And again, all there is to it, using a high-speed blender of any kind and pulverize the peanuts. Okay, I give it a quick stir, and you see what happened here is the peanut powder will actually be powder versus paste. Okay, one more time, just a quick stir, and the peanut powder is ready. Okay, so next thing is we're using the creaming method by adding butter into our mixing bowl. Of course, softened butter, it's sort of always a given. Right. Followed by
Powdered sugar.
Powdered sugar, of course. Some kind of sweetness, besides the beautiful sweetness of the California raisin. And then followed by salt and cinnamon. As you can see, cinnamon is sort of the to-go spice to add to raisins and peanuts. And the peanut as such can be added later when we add the flour. So therefore, let's start the creaming by using the pedal attachment. Low speed first. Make sure that the butter and the powdered sugar is fully incorporated. and then starting to increase the speed to third/medium speed. In the meanwhile, I can remove my peanut powder and add it back to the flour. At the end of the day will help with the incorporation into the cookie dough, and because we are working towards a theme for Easter, we're going to do cut-out cookies. So Priscila, let's talk a little bit about the versatility of raisins.
Well, I think raisins have the versatility of being incorporated with different flavor profiles. They can match very nicely with different ethnic foods. I also like to incorporate my raisins in not only sweet dishes but also in savory dishes. I like to go and explore what happens when addition in salads, for example, in some dishes that contain grains such as rice, quinoa, couscous. We also like to incorporate them as a base if we want to make some marinade for meat, either for red meat, white meat. So again, this word versatility means that raisins have the capacity to be used either in whole or as a paste to add not only sweetness, natural sweetness, but also some texture and binding capacity to the dish we want to create. So that's why I like to work with California raisins.
Oh, California raisins, you know, we have invented and prototype many different amazing dishes with raisins. And of course, me personally, I like to use raisins in baked goods, mainly, as they add value to my product.
Yeah, of course. Sometimes we think that California raisins may have a premium price, but the price is totally, it makes sense because the products that we come up with at the end of the day, they really make a difference. So we're not talking about any kind of raisins, we're talking about California raisins.
So while Priscila was talking a little bit about the versatility of raisins, I added lemon juice and egg yolks to my batter, and now on slow speed I added my flour, which was mixed with the peanut or the grind up peanut slash the peanut powder to create a dough. Now we're going to make some cut-up cookies with this, and one of the keys to cut-up cookies is that the dough is well chilled. So what we're going to do is we're taking some saran wrap and lay it out here on the table. Let's put it away from the camera. Again, I don't want to overmix this. Take my attachment out and look how beautiful the peanuts are incorporated into the dough, and look at the beautiful color.
Oh wow.
Beautiful color. It smells amazing. And as you will see, it really gives a very nice nutty flavor to the cookies,
Right.
which ultimately we gonna fill with a new invention product, which is raisin smear, which I'm gonna do in a second. So now I'm gonna take the saran wrap. I'm gonna put my dough right onto the saran wrap. Would you put a second layer there? Perfect. There you go. Doesn't have to be beautiful, but rather functional. And remember, my butter was soft, so therefore it is expected for the cookie dough to be on the softer side. I want to get all of the goodness out of here. There's another piece which escaped.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay. Add another piece of saran wrap over the top.
And so California raisins, sometimes people think that they cannot consume them because either they're too sweet, and if somebody has like diabetes or any other health concerns where they really check their calories, I wouldn't really worry too much about it because California raisins are natural sugars. So they help to bring our energy up. It's desired that, you know, in the mornings we want to have a quick wake up. Raisins help us with getting that energy level up. And yeah, for people who have concerns about diabetes, it is actually not a problem for this kind of population.
Okay, so as you can see, again, it's not about beauty, it's about functionality, and the dough is well wrapped, and to firm it up, it now goes into the refrigerator for at least 2 hours or even overnight.
Yeah.
So in preparation of our little demonstration, we of course have prepared the dough well ahead. We're just going to remove the saran wrap. You see how nice and firm the dough has become with a little bit of dusting flour, which I'm going to spread onto the table. I'm going to take a small piece of dough, not too big, otherwise it's too difficult to handle. Lay it out on the table, and with my rolling pin, I want to make sure that I roll out. Look how beautiful the dough rolls out. I turn it, I don't press too hard, and I always want to make sure that I am able to turn the dough as I go along, so the dough doesn't stick neither to the table nor to anything else. Okay, there you go. And the desired thickness is, you have to realize we're going to make 2 pieces out of this, so we make like a sandwich. And now we're going to use a oval cookie cutter to make like an egg shape, and we're going to use a sheet pan. While it's cutting out, we're placing those onto a prepared sheet pan, which has been covered with a piece of parchment paper. Sometimes they come out. See, that's where your assistant comes in. Oops. And again,
It's a very good shape for this Easter theme.
we preheated our oven. Simplicity goes a long way sometimes. Not everything has to be too complicated, too fancy, too non-achievable for many bakers, especially home bakers. As just like us, we do not have all the kind of fancy equipment available, but you see how fast I can create a variety of cookies in a very professional manner, and with the help of, need another piece of dough please, okay, with the help of a simple piece of equipment like a rolling pin, I can then take my dough, incorporated the leftovers back into my new piece of batch. I don't want to. So Priscilla going to put the cookies in the oven while I'm going to show you how to prepare the filling. So for this one,
Yes.
we're using a combination of
California raisins, of course. We're using peanuts, sesame seeds, fresh ginger, and just a little tiny touch of honey.
as a binder.
Yes.
Okay, goes in the food processor. If you see that the desired consistency is not reached, a little bit of water goes a long way, and the water function is no other than achieving the right consistency. Okay, remove the lid on this, and of course my attachment. And now I'm gonna use this as a little smear in between my cookies. And all I do is I take the bottom half, smear it like this. See, isn't that amazing? Put another half on top. And now we have a little sandwich cookie, which I'm going to line up here. So all there's left to do is now to give it a little dust with some powdered sugar.
So now they really look like eggs.
And they look like Easter. And even though it seems like there is no raisins included, once you bite in them, it's just amazing. So to make it even look more like an egg, we prepared ahead of time a little bit of lemon curd, which you can use your lemon curd as you have it available. Use store-bought one or make your own. And an easy way is to make it in the microwave. You know what the nice thing is about a broken cookie?
You have
It's
to
for
eat
me
it.
to eat. It's for me to eat. Okay? And
Wow,
then
I like the color, how
to
it
give
stands out.
a little contrast to the cookie as a whole, we of course take them and place them onto a dark cookie tray. No? And look at this. Simple cut out cookies with a raisin smear filling, beautifully, oops, beautifully finished with a little bit of lemon curd to look absolutely amazing.
Oh,
And
wow.
there you have it. Voila! Cut out cookies make look like an Easter egg.
Yeah.
There's, I have to think, peanut, sesame seed, honey, and of course California raisin spread filling topped with a little bit of lemon curd. And voila, there you have it.
I like how California raisins really pair well with it.
And how versatile they are.
Yeah.
Good.
So this is the final products of this demonstration for the Easter season.
Traditional hot cross buns, not only containing California raisins, but a blend of 5 different spices, 3 different essences, and a beautiful soft texture when eaten and enjoyed throughout the year and throughout the Easter season.
We also have the thumbprint cookies, where we are showcasing the color of the raisins blended with, in this case, peaches. A little flavor profile there with chili flakes and cinnamon, and how they just showcase their beauty and their color in the beautiful thumbprint cookie.
The addition of peanuts in these cookies gives an amazing texture and crunchiness to the product.
Yeah, then we have the traditional Easter bread from Russia, which is called the kulik. I personally really enjoy looking at how tall this bread looks, and the beautiful combination of California raisins and golden raisins and pecans in this very soft sourdough bread.
Amazing texture, amazing flavor, keeps fresh for a very long time, but it will never last long.
Oh yeah, it won't. And finally, these beautiful cookies, I think they're appealing to the eye, and then when you bite into them, they're just a beautiful flavor combination of sesame seeds and peanuts, and of course California raisins for sweetness. I think it's a very nice combination and a beautiful product we can showcase for Easter.
And of course I can't resist to showcase how beautiful California raisins are distributed throughout the kulik. The smell is amazing, and now all there's left for us to make a nice cup of coffee and to enjoy the labor of our love baking with California raisins.
Thank you for joining us today. See you next time.
For more information, please contact Ms. Chua Sukit at sukitc@liummktg.com.sg and follow California Raisins Asian on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.